In this episode of Refresh, I'm going over my future plans for each of my main cichlid tanks, from my 72-gallon Black Nasty tank to my 435-gallon South and Central American tank, including possible decor additions, tank upsizes, and some cool stocking changes. If you recall, in one of my last Refresh videos, I added a few aqua decor rocks, removed a couple of Icarus pipes. Icarus is this cute little guy, my yellow lab Mbuna. Oh, by the way, I was watching Hunter from Ron Cichlids on a KG Tropicals video, and he actually says it's correctly pronounced Mbuna, not Mbuna. I'll probably still say Mbuna, but what do you Australians do? I'll do whatever you do. Anyway, I like the way the tank looks now, and I'll probably not be adding any decor for a while. I did have an issue with one of the inmates of Alcatraz, though. Victor, my VC-10, had a lymphocystis bump on his fin, and he's always had a bump on his mouth, so I'm not sure if that's lymphocystis or if that's just the way he is. But I had to get him out of the tank and put him in this 20-gallon hospital tank. He won't be getting any meds because there's nothing to give him since it's a virus. It probably won't kill him, but I can't put him back in Alcatraz unless it goes away. Which, it can go away on its own, I've just never had it go away on its own in the past. By the way, those sponges are filter media from my sump on San Quentin. It's the first time I've ever used seeded media from there instead of cracking open a canister filter, and man, it was so easy. I almost forgot I could do that, and I was dreading opening up an FX6, and then I remembered, hey dummy, you can actually just get this from your sump. So I just reached in and grabbed it. Done. I'll get to more on this sump later on though. I did finally get it all dialed in thanks to Jay at C-Shape. So Victor is waiting in the hospital for now, and that leaves even fewer haps in the yard. As a warden of this yard, it's my duty to make sure my census is at a good level, and right now, I'd say it's a little on the low side. I've been wanting some more haps for a while now, and maybe even a few of the good behavior peacocks like a blue neon and a red shoulder, but I just have to wait for the funds to come in. I'm paying for the shading session for my tattoo from YouTube dollars, so that's going to cause the cash flow to take a serious hit. And I also need to get some Fluval 407s to use as polishing filters for a few of my tanks. I'm hoping that PetSmart has them on sale on Black Friday. Then I'll remove some of the fine sponges from my FX6s and just use them on the 407s. It'll make doing filter cleanings much less of a pain in the ass. Right now I took some of the fine sponges out of the FX6s, and you can really tell I need that 407. Water's pretty cloudy from the side. Thanks to Dan Wolf for that idea, by the way. When I get additional funds, I plan on adding around 10 or so new fish to Alcatraz. A few of the ones I'm thinking about are the Venustus to replace my old friend Gary, perhaps a Tangerine Tiger, and a Star Sapphire. There are plenty of other good options for inmates, but I'm looking at about $600 to $800 for these fish if I get 3 to 4 inchers. So gonna have to wait on that one for a little bit. I'm really happy with this tank, and aside from Victor, everyone's been doing quite well, and there have been no mystery deaths at all for quite some time. Blind Bart is still holding on to half of the tank occasionally and keeping everyone else to the other side. But they don't actually mind too much, because he picked the left side of the tank, and the right side is the side that actually faces the refrigerator where I keep their food, and they usually just hang out there watching the fridge all day anyway. This is my wife's favorite tank, the 180-gallon South American tank, and I love it too, but it isn't my favorite. I am really happy with the decor though, the standing logs from Aqua Decor in the back, and the big piece of driftwood I found down by the river in Spokane. Free is always good, and I don't think I could have bought a more perfect piece of wood for the aquarium, and if I did, it would cost over $500. So I don't have any changes to the decor coming up, and I'm pretty happy with the stocking of the tank as well. Love the geos especially. These are redhead Tapajos, but they don't really have a lot of red on their heads yet for some reason. They do have some iridescent color on their bodies and fins though, lots of reds and blues. And one of them, and he's not even the biggest one, he's number 2 actually, he has some really nice trailers coming off his fins. The shark is always lurking around somewhere, usually cleaning off the rotting parts of the driftwood or eating the Acara fry when they decide to get nasty, which has been a few months now, so they might be due for another batch of red-tailed shark food. I keep these jars in here for Mom so she can keep them alive as long as she can. I probably won't be adding too many fish to this tank, and I might be moving one out actually. This Cyclosoma damaris looks really cute, but he's starting to become too much of an ass for this tank. He might be more suited for San Quentin, which I'll show you in a moment. You can see him getting a little aggressive with everyone else. He always wants the food all to himself, and he wants everything to himself actually. But he isn't hurting anyone yet, so he could stay in here, and he does add some dimension to the tank anyway. I'm a little on the fence. What do you think? Move him? Keep him here? If you have any other ideas you think would look good and get along with these fairly peaceful cichlids, let me know. I could be coerced into getting a few more good fish in here. Time to get nasty. And right next to the 180 sits this guy. It's my 72-gallon Landon rimless black nasty tank. They don't look a lot different from the last time I showed them to you. Must be slow growers. I'm only feeding them twice a day based on what other people have said. They can overeat and get bloat pretty easily, so I gotta be careful with them. But they're still doing very well and not showing too much aggression yet, which is great, so I can continue on with the 6 of them for a while longer. I'm thinking pretty soon they're gonna turn up the aggression a notch or two though, and I'll have to trim it down to 1. So if you live in the Pacific Northwest and you want some black nasties, let me know. Once I get it down to 1, I'll just keep that 1 in this tank as long as I can, and then I'll have to figure out the larger tank setup for the garage. I wish I could put him in a 125, but if he gets up to 14 inches long, that doesn't leave a lot of turnaround room. I could still probably get by with one though, and if I do that, I could just brace the floor and put it in the house, which would be much more ideal. I call this room the nasty room, which can cause a lot of confusion if guests come over and hear me say, hey, I gotta go to the nasty room for a minute. If I get the 125, the nasty room will become my bedroom, and then the bedroom would be the nasty room. Like 50 Shades of Grey, except way cooler because instead of weird violent sex, it would have an Andopsis haitiensis in it. That's the Black Nasty's real name, by the way. My Mbuna tank just had a major rehaul. Check out the video in the upper right if you want to see how I redecorated with all these Sirius stones from Landon Aqua. Beautiful stones, and the Mbuna in this tank absolutely love it. Lots of holes for them to move in and out of, and at night to sleep in. So I don't have any plans to change the decor up in the near future, but I do need to get a lot more Mbuna in here. Right now we're looking at about 10 of them, and I'd guess I want about maybe 10 more. The only thing is, well, 2 things. Like I said, money, but also, even though a 75-gallon is fine for most Mbuna, I still have that urge to move up, even though these cichlids are fine in here. I'd still feel better if they had more room and more rocks, which the extra 2 feet would give. I really do see me giving them a 125 in the future, but that'll definitely be a while because that tank will be expensive, and then I'll have to build a stand, and I still haven't even done the finish work on San Quentin's stand. And I need to get a couple of canister filters for it, plus more rocks, sand, heaters, controllers, lights. Yeah, it's gonna be a while. I need a GoFundMe account. And then we have San Quentin. This is my favorite tank. Absolutely love it. And I recently got the sump dialed in. Yeah, I know it's been forever. I had this thing for over 6 months and I still didn't have that sump dialed in. I was having problems with one of the 2 pumps blowing bubbles in the tank, and it was a little too noisy for me as well. And I now have these 2 Cichlid SDC 7.0 pumps, and they're doing the trick. Nice pumps. The only thing is it still sounds a little bit like someone's mowing the lawn just outside. But I think that's because the chamber for them is a little too small. These barely fit in here, so it's hard to keep them from touching the sides and each other, which just amplifies any rattling noises they make. I might check into getting a larger compartment for them. So recently, Kevin, the Blue Texas, has decided his extra size he's put on in the past few months should allow him to be even more of an ass than usual. And he's large enough now that even Sylvia, my Salvini, who used to be the dominant one, is afraid of mean old Kevin. I was hoping that a huge tank like this would make him doable in here, and it still might work, but here's what I've noticed with bigger tanks. It doesn't really matter how much room there is to avoid each other. Once a fish decides he doesn't like you, he'll be coming for you. Wherever you go, it doesn't matter where you are in a 10-foot tank, he'll be there also. You can have 10 feet of space like I have here, and he'll be stuck on you like glue. Pretty irritating. No one's getting hurt though, even though I have some mild tears in their fins. But if it doesn't work out, I still think it was worth a try anyway. He's a really cool fish. As far as the decor goes, I'm really happy with everything, but the one thing I might do is add some long, skinny twigs, a lot of them, in here to provide some cover. I could do that with some aqua decor because they have some really cool ones, but that'll be a while. I do think it'd help quite a bit though, and I still want to add some more fish into the yard. I've picked up another true parrot at Fish World, my local fish store, but he's still in quarantine and he's too small to go in here right now. Just in case you don't know, Buck here is a true parrot. A great fish. He's the tank boss right now. I'll also be adding my 10, yeah, I still have all 10 Altifrons to the tank when they're big enough. It's been slow going, and they still hate the camera, so I won't be able to get much video of them. I don't know how they know it's a camera, but they do. So once I add them to the tank, that'll be a lot more fish all at once. But I still think I could get away with a few more inmates in here. I don't want anything too crazy. By crazy, I do mean insane. So I'm thinking of trying to keep it more on the mild side. As the warden, it's my job to make sure all the inmates get along well, and I don't want to push the boundaries too hard and wind up with mass carnage in this here prison. Satisfied prisoners, that's what I like. I've been flirting with the idea of getting a convict, maybe some more severums, like this mouth-brooding severum, and maybe a festivum. Let me know what you think or if you have any other ideas. Oh, hey, and guess what? You've made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. And I'll catch you next time.